Airtech Mod Soldier here, and I'm back to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home and my thoughts on this movie. And my thoughts are, it's a great movie to watch. I was entertained throughout. There's no woke bullshit in this movie. It's just a fun movie to watch. And in this movie, they do two amazing things that you just have to watch to find out. And I still can't believe what they did actually happened. It was amazing to watch. It was just, oh my god, you have to watch this movie. If you have not watched this movie yet, go watch it. It's worth it. Watch it in IMAX and just enjoy. There's nothing bad I can say about this. Well, there are a few problems, but nothing to the point of it's a terrible movie. It's just entertaining. That's all this movie was. Entertaining and fun. There was no bullshit with this movie. And I cannot be more happy than I am right now that this movie was great. It's just, you don't get these sort of movies anymore. You just don't. You seem to just get political bullshit crap or agenda-driven crap or just a terrible movie altogether. This movie had heart. This movie had care. This movie wasn't pushing anything stupid. It was just there to have fun to watch. And that is why this movie is going to do fantastically. And I think it's going to make $1 billion because the amount of people I saw at my cinema was fucking amazing. It was just so many people who wanted to watch this film. There was a line. There were so many lines, and through recent years, you haven't had to wait in a line to watch a movie. It's kind of been pretty much nearly empty all the time. So this movie is going to do great. I think the reason this movie was not so woke is because Sony control the majority share of Spider-Man. I think if this was a Disney movie, when I say Disney movie, if Disney were in control of this movie, I think they would have pumped it for a lot of bullshit. Because if you haven't seen their last movies, that's all they've been doing. That's all those movies that they've been releasing are just political bullshit. This movie was just fun to watch. There's no slow points. There's no controversy. It's just a fun movie to watch, and that's why you need to watch this. You need to support it. You need to show Disney that you don't want any bullshit movies. You just want something fun to watch, something to turn your brain off and just enjoy. And that's what this movie is, because you got to remember, there was no woke propaganda, advertising for this. There was no strong female bullshit. There wasn't no bait and switch in this movie. It was just a Spider-Man movie. That's all this was. And yes, I didn't like the fact they were trying to make it into this massive thing. And I mean, the plot of the movie is about this massive thing. But I don't think it's a massive bad thing, but it's just like, I want to see a friendly neighbourhood Spider-Man movie where he's just dealing with a gangster or a little problem, not a universe-destroying problem, not a, planet-destroying problem, just a bad gangster and a scientist that's gone a little bit crazy who's turned himself into who God knows what. Just keep it level. Because this movie does so much to sort out Disney's Spider-Man. And that's fantastic to me. How this movie ends is how it should have ended. Because that does so much to fix Tom Holland's Spider-Man for me. Because, yes, his other movies have been okay, but they haven't been Peter Parker to me. They've been kind of Little Iron Man, or, Junior Iron Man, unfortunately. But I think the ending of this movie shows that that Sony, that Disney, they're moving Spider-Man in the right direction. So again, if you haven't watched this movie, go watch it. I'm going into spoilers now, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, leave now in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to explain what I mean with the whole, fixing the Spider-Man problems, or fixing Disney Spider-Man problems. My problem with Tom Holland Spider-Man has been, it's been too focused on Stark. Stark gave him his suit, Stark gave him all this technology, all this responsibility, and it should never have happened. Spider-Man is not supposed to be like mini Iron Man. He's supposed to be his own thing. He's supposed to be relatable. And the problem with Tom Holland's Spider-Man is he's too lucky. He gets what he wants all the time. He gets his suit made by a billionaire. He gets to be in charge of Stark's business. He never has had to struggle, other than actually, I still don't know where Tom Holland's struggled at all, unfortunately. But that's not Peter Parker. Peter Parker is supposed to struggle with being Spider-Man. He's supposed to have to pick between being Peter Parker or being Spider-Man, and he always picks Spider-Man, which means that Peter Parker has to become less important. He has to struggle more in his life. If he's got a job, his job comes second to his life as Spider-Man. Again, that's what makes Spider-Man the most relatable character in any sort of hero universe, because he deals with so much shit, he doesn't get any of the glory. As Peter Parker, if he's going out with a girl and he has to stand her up, he can't say to her, "I'm Spider-Man." No, he has to accept that relationship's not going to last, and he's going to have to give her up because of Spider-Man. And that's what makes the character so goddamn relatable. And that's been the problem with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. He just never struggled in anything. So the ending of this movie, which was a sad ending, I will grant you it's a very sad ending. The fact that this whole base of this movie is Peter Parker is trying to get the whole planet to forget that he's Spider-Man. But in this movie, Peter fucks up so much, or Tom Holland fucks up so much in this movie, because he's trying to keep everybody he loves to remember that he's Spider-Man, that he ends up destroying... Where am I going with this? Anyway, he ends up destroying everything because he's trying to save the people he loves, and every time he tries to fix something, as Peter does, it kind of fucks up everything else. Like, he's trying to fix this problem, but it kind of ends up making a new problem for him. So throughout this movie, he's becoming like the original Peter Parker. Like, he's trying to help. He's trying to, keep both worlds, as important as each other. He's trying to be Peter Parker whilst trying to be Spider-Man. But it can never happen. Like, that can never happen for him. Anyway. And at the end of this movie, everybody has to forget who Peter Parker is. That means not just everybody who found out about him, but his girlfriend, his friend. And at the end of this movie, he tries to go back to see them after Strange does the spell to turn off to make them forget. And he kind of sees that he can't, bring them back from that. And if he does, they'll always be in danger around him. So he gives up, so he lets them continue to forget him, and he goes on with his life. And that's the ending of the film. I know that was weird, but I just wanted to explain what Sony's kind of done to fix Spider-Man, in my opinion. So this whole movie is pretty much about Peter Parker trying to make people forget that he's Spider-Man, because at the ending of the last movie, Mysterio tells the world that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and throughout this movie, Peter Parker is trying to get the world to forget about him. That's why he goes to Doctor Strange to ask him for help to make some sort of spell to make everybody forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And Doctor Strange helps him, but unfortunately the spell goes wrong because Peter Parker wants everybody to remember him, and as I said before, it doesn't go well. Strange then loses control of the magic or the spell that he casts, and it ends up connecting all of the multiverse to this one Earth. And that's why you then see all the bad guys come out. He meets Dr. Ock first, then the Green Goblin, then Lizzo, and Electro. Who, by the way, Electro was amazing in this film. I gotta say, Jamie Foxx, he got fucked over by Kurtzman, and making him blue, making him like some nerdy weirdo, was an absolute mistake. This version of Electro should have been the one in Amazing Spider-Man, but unfortunately that movie was written by Alex Kurtzman, and Alex Kurtzman is a fucking twat who can't write for shit. How this guy keeps getting work is fucking beyond me. But Amazing Spider-Man got destroyed by Alex Kurtzman, and Jamie Lee Foxx got fucked over by that decision to put. Anyway, that's a different story. But I love the bad guys in this movie. I love Doc Ock. I loved Green Goblin. They're the two main ones I wanted to see in this film, and you kind of see the relationship between them and Spider-Man grow in this movie, and it was just epic to watch. I want to go into the biggest spoiler right now because it's so good to get through, but I'll just get off the last ones. One of my problems with this movie has to be Sandman. I do kind of think he was kind of pointless in this movie. I kind of think you could have left him out of the movie, and the same for Lizzo, but I kind of think you had to have Lizzo there because he's the only main bad guy from the Amazing Spider-Man universe that they could bring in, because I can't bring the other Green Goblin because you can't have like multiple Green Goblins in this movie. So I kind of get why Lizzo's there, but Sandman, I kind of think you could have got rid of him and it wouldn't have affected the movie that much. But to get onto the biggest spoiler I can say in this movie, all the Spider-Men come back. All of them. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. And it is just such an epic scene when they come back in, when they come into the film. Andrew Garfield plays his Spider-Man fantastically, and that's what I actually enjoyed Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. You know, he seemed like a fun Spider-Man. He was entertaining, and it was a shame that he kind of got fucked over, and didn't become Disney's Spider-Man. But again, that's not his fault. That's fucking Alex Kurtzman's fault because he can't write for shit. But Tobey Maguire coming back, I mean, it was just epic to see him again. It was epic to see him as Spider-Man again. I mean, my God, I haven't seen him in the cinema since I was a kid. It was just great to see Tobey Maguire back. He will always be the original Spider-Man to me. Like, there's nobody who's going to beat him. Like, Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, they're good Spider-Men. But Tobey Maguire is just going to be the Spider-Man. When you say Spider-Man, you think Tobey Maguire. And this movie was just epic with him in it. And it was just... I was in the cinema, and as soon as he came on screen, as soon as he came out of that magician hole, everybody screamed and was loving it. Because that is Spider-Man. He will always be known as Spider-Man to me. And so in this movie they come back because, well, they get brought back because Mary Jane and the other guy have to find Peter because of what happened in this movie to Aunt May. And in this movie, Aunt May gets killed because Peter tries to help the bad guys, and well, Osborn, being what he's like, have I explained? Well, Peter tries to help the bad guys. He tries to stop them being sent home because we find out in this movie if they go back home, they'll get killed, and Peter doesn't want that to happen. So he has to fight Doctor Strange from sending them back home, so Peter can try to help them, fight their bad sides. So Peter ends up taking them somewhere so he can fix them, take away their powers, or try to fix parts of their equipment to make sure they don't go insane again, which I really did like. But Peter doesn't realise that Osborn's evil side takes control, and they have this epic fight in this apartment block, which was the best fight scene in the movie to me. And Osborn, Green Goblin, ends up killing Aunt May, and we then get the scene that gets passed to May because Uncle Ben's dead. With great power comes great responsibility, and I thought that was just an epic scene to have. And I didn't think they were going to kill Aunt May. I mean, I thought there's no way they'd kill a woman. There'd be like protest or shit they'd have to deal with. But they did it, and I think it was the right thing to do because, again, Peter's never struggled. His aunt has helped him through everything, and we never did get his origin story. We never did get the Uncle Ben scene between him and Uncle Ben. So this scene felt perfect to put in the movie because it did so much for Peter's character. It showed him losing, which I think is very important for Peter Parker, and it was just an excellent scene to me. And having Peter go through the emotions, wanting to get revenge, it was just a great scene to watch. We then get the scene, which was epic, another epic scene. There's a lot of epic scenes in this film. When Tom Holland's Peter Parker meets Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and it was just a great scene to see. They're all Peter Parker. They're all different Spider-Men, but they're all the same Spider-Man at the same time. It was a great scene to watch. The end fight was also good because they try to work together as a team, but they're Spider-Man. They normally work on their own, and then they have to try and they work together to try and fix every bad guy they can. They fix Dr. Ock. They cure Lizzo. They cure Sandman, and they cure Electro. The last fight is between the Green Goblin and Tom Holland. I'm kind of annoyed about this. I kind of think it should have been Tobey Maguire that had the final fight with the Green Goblin. I know Tom Holland lost Aunt May, and it was right to make him the guy who fights Osborn. But there wasn't a lot of talking between Osborn and Tobey Maguire's Green Goblin. Not enough for me. I would say that's a bit of a bad point I'm going to say on the movie. There should have been more scenes between Tobey Maguire and Green Goblin. I think it's a missed opportunity, but the movie's great either way to me. So Peter Parker fights the Green Goblin. He wins the fight. He grabs his jump jet thing, grabs it, nearly stabs him, but Tobey Maguire jumps in front and stops Tom Holland from stabbing the Green Goblin because he knows it's the wrong thing to do, and that's not what Spider-Man is. So Peter gets a sample or something that's going to cure Osborn of the evil side of him and stabs him in the neck with it to cure him of the evil side of Osborn. And then the movie ends, as I said, with Doctor Strange having to close all the universes off to this planet because the multiverse is collapsing in on itself into this planet, and the only way to stop that from happening is everybody has to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and that includes Doctor Strange. And the plan works. Everybody forgets who Peter Parker is, and Peter Parker can now start off his new life as Spider-Man, as the real Spider-Man, as a Spider-Man who doesn't get help from anybody, who has to go through his life struggling. And I think that's just an epic scene. I mean, and that's just great to me. This movie is worth watching. It was great. It's entertaining as fuck. The jokes in this are great, and I can't wait to see the next Spider-Man movie. And that's the end of my review. If you like this review, give it a like. If you dislike this review, give it a dislike. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. Hell, long live CG, hail the Phantom Menace, and fuck SJWs. Bye.